Today's been really interesting because I've actually had to talk some people down into accepting their own beliefs. I'm not joking. You see, the things that people always believe, right? And the things people have always believed, in many cases, you have to go ahead and explain to them that something is in line with their already established belief of the facts. Some things could just be posited differently. For instance, if we told everybody that technically the sun isn't rising, they may be mad at us. If I told you that technically the sun isn't rising, you might get mad at me. The position of the sun in relation to the earth has a very interesting interaction, which from our perspective, we perceive the sun as rising. However, the earth is rotating and revolving around the sun. Now, notice I didn't say that the sun is stationary, even though relative to the position of the earth, it is stationary, but the universe has actually been, posited to be in some kind of expansion and motion. But again, this stuff starts to get big brain, but ideally it doesn't negate any of the held ideas that we hold about it, because we understand that perception is one thing, reality is also another thing, but they don't contradict each other. And so we can live harmoniously in it if that's the case. Sometimes perception and reality could be two different things because somebody's trying to deceive another person. Do you understand what I mean? So I gave all that big brain stuff just to come out here and point out that there are people who are looking at Sarah Bond's article, her interview that she did on Variety, and many of them are jumping into conclusions that are different from the conclusions that they've already held in the past. Let me explain. Proto Foxy said to me in my post where I said to Yoshida-san to enjoy his Xbox PC, which he says, this is an Xbox. It's actually a PC. And I said, you are correct, sir. It's an Xbox PC to play Xbox PC games and more. Pretty cool device. Enjoy it. The man's enjoying it. He even posted a thing that Ghost of Tsushima plays very well on it. Wonderful. So Proto Foxy clipped this thing from Variety, this article, and he said, And I said, better go read that article carefully. You said you read it. You said that's not the argument or what clowns are refusing to acknowledge. You said it's a licensed third-party handheld. I never said anything about functionality or anything. It's a licensing deal. And then you started to call people bots. It's not nice to start doing that and throwing that out there. Because if you wanted to go with licensing and such, it's kind of a weird place that you put yourself. I've asked Copilot to go ahead and do a diagrammatic breakdown of the different components that make up these different gaming devices that we've been seeing launch lately. I started out with the Steam Deck to show exactly what components in there and who's making them. Bro, when it was all said and done, I could almost find nothing that Valve made. They designed a few things, right? But other than the Steam OS, which is, it was the Linux based, yes, you can call it what you want, say they made it or whatever it is. I can almost not find it. According to Copilot, citing different articles off of Wikipedia/Gear and the Steam Deck themselves, the Steam Deck's custom SoC is an APU combining a GPU and CPU, which is a Zen 2 APU. The display is pretty much made by BOE Technology and Samsung for the OLED. BOE does the LCD. I think I've even heard that BOE and Samsung do both of them, and some people have said that one of them looks kind of bluish or so when I was reading the articles. This user said the RAM, Copilot says the RAM, 16 gigs of RAM, is made likely by SK Hynix or Micron. These are RAM manufacturers. These guys are chip manufacturers on that, on that capacity. If you want to buy cheap RAM, you can just buy Hynix RAM. The beauty of it is a lot of those RAM modules, the big companies will go ahead and literally put their case on it and then just, brand it. But really underneath is Hynix RAM, or Micron is making those, those RAM modules. The storage is pretty much from, according to this, either Phison, Western Digital, or Kioxia, which I still think a Western Digital SSD is what's inside of the, was it Western Digital? Yeah, that is what's inside the PS5. But I'll investigate that because, they were talking about the PS5's magical SSD. The battery, Likely LG Chemical or Samsung. The stereo, unknown. Maybe it's in-house. The thumbsticks, custom by Valve, possibly Alps for the joystick. The fan is Delta Electronics. The Wi-Fi and Bluetooth module is likely Qualcomm or Realtek. The PCB is designed by Valve, manufactured by Foxconn or Compal. And then SteamOS is designed by Valve. So I started doing diagrammatic depictions of these things. And man, what I found has been so interesting. And this is a fact-checking exercise, by the way. Please fact-check me if I've made, if there's any mistake here. I can't take any AI-generated, information as 100%. That's going to be stupid. However, there are some things that have been established that I've already researched to see. So when you take a look at something like the Steam Deck and look and say, okay, so what in the world is going on here? You realize that in the world of manufacturing, things have always been sourced from different places. The Xbox Ally X and the Rogue Ally X are following a similar pattern, of which Asus has already sourced all these components, but now Xbox has decided to go into business to make a device that is uniquely an Xbox ROG Ally and an Xbox ROG Ally X. Asus isn't going to make a device that is like that without modifications to call it a different thing. And even Asus themselves have signified that this thing is an Xbox. So I said, you should have written the whole thing in caps. Perhaps armchair hardware and software engineering of Twitter will be taken seriously. You're actually wrong about the licensing deal. And before you scream and shout, listen to Asus explain to you what they did. By the way, I'm a PC gamer, and you continue to make me skeptic when you say bots. I'm suspecting you're a PlayStation fanboy. Then he said, Sarah Bond literally said it's Asus hardware. Yes, just like the hardware that belongs to these devices are for different companies. What are y'all talking about? So now, are we backpedaling and saying Xbox is buying up these, and saying it's first-party hardware? What do you mean first-party hardware? Many of these companies have not used first-party hardware for anything. It could be custom sourced hardware, but it still belongs to other companies. Usually this is how partnerships work with licensing. What licensing? It's okay to say it's licensed hardware. So I posited the entire piece of the article where Sarah Bond said, while not an internally made product, Bond insists it is Xbox through and through. Whether you are more casual and you want an Ally, or a hardcore gamer and who's eyeing an Ally X. They said this. If someone is looking for PC gaming on the go, they're a casual gamer, they're a gaming enthusiast, there's Xbox Allies for them. The woman knows what she's talking about. It is y'all on Twitter that want to go ahead and redefine what they didn't define. Are you looking to play Xbox Series console games and Xbox One console games? You know what consoles to go buy. This is why the Xbox Series S and X can't play native Xbox PC games, because they've designed them differently. Even though they have cross functionality, and even though in some cases they're the same game, because Windows has, a system that allows for a unified building paradigm, right? But there's still technical limitations on all sides, but Microsoft has made it possible for you to be able to have those cross-compatible pieces together. I'm really enjoying this particular topic of conversation because it's opening up different layers of what PC gaming actually has always looked like. You understand what I mean? Another person said on another thread, which was very interesting to watch, while Nabe was talking about this guy from Game Riot that didn't know to bring up his on-screen keyboard, and he had a keyboard right there. Instead of him to dock it, I don't know what he was trying to do though. He said how someone gave this a 9 out of 10, I'll never know. And then he pointed to this experience and he got roasted in his comment section. So, this person said, if you console because you don't want to mess around with settings and driver updates on PC, man, get out of here with driver updates, man. I have pictures and pictures of my consoles doing all kinds of fun updates. In fact, one of them was a sound update. Yeah, right. On PC, then this is not for you. It's a handheld first and foremost. He says it's a PC handheld first. And he says, add to the fact that you can't play Xbox games on it. And then he said, Moore's Law is dead. Put it best. This is an alpha build. Now, PTR, PKR, I got to tell you, man, this is not a categorization that you wish to make. Plus, Moore's Law is dead is the flopflation guy. Just because he gets leaks, I wouldn't take I wouldn't take anything he says seriously. You just wait till the thing comes out, because once Mark Cerny got up on that stage and started talking about flopflation, that's when you knew it was over. So I said, so you can't play Xbox games? You're citing the flopflation guy? You said, no, I'm not. I watched Maximilian Dude live stream and he tried it. It only plays PC versions of Xbox games. He loves it for what it is, a Windows PC handheld first and foremost. So I said, see, you just said it. That's what everyone's been saying. It can remote play console games as well because it's a PC, an Xbox PC and not a Series X or S. See, you got it. He just said it. It plays the PC versions of Xbox games. That's exactly what Sarah Bond's been saying. That's exactly what everybody at Xbox been saying. That's what exactly those of us who want to use common sense on YouTube have been saying. If you follow, some people come up, I think what's going on is they advertise a handheld PC and they say it's an Xbox handheld PC. Some people are like, no, it's not, because it's not like your Xbox console. It's like, no, guys, you have to understand that this is an Xbox handheld PC. And people are now making it's a straw man. You make up an argument that you want to go ahead and, I don't know, debunk or something. It's the strangest thing ever. I would hope that this conversation would come to a common sense place at some point in time. And I'm sure it will. I'm certain it will. Because all of the madness so far has just been what I think are purposeful misunderstandings at the end of the day. Oh, well, it's not an Xbox. Well, you're used to the Xbox Series, Xbox 360, and Xbox One consoles with locked OEMs and locked OSs and limited access. Now you get an Xbox device that has a Windows operating system and a better access, and I think a lot of people don't necessarily know how to actually deal with that. That's what we're seeing right now.